Talk and Rock Radio, where friends meet at the intersection of life, inspiration, and music. Here's your host, Rick Kern.
Welcome, everyone, to Talk and Rock Radio. If you were around the nightclub scene in El Paso back in the 60s and 70s, you'll certainly remember the musician that I'm going to talk to you about today. His name is Fred Kienle, and the band that he played with were the Torquetts and the Sixth Column. Welcome, Fred, man. Glad to have you on board with us today, man.
Yeah, this is phenomenal. It's an honor to be here, Rick. You're an icon in El Paso. And in fact, you're an icon all over the place for the fact that you just keep music alive. The old bands in El Paso and others all over, and even in Vegas where you went. And you're just it's an honor to get together with you. In fact, what I got together you because of the interview you did with Rod Crosby, just I don't know, it's not too long ago.
That's right, Fred, and I appreciate the kind words and everything, man. Now, you go back a few years before I do. You were making it happen in El Paso in the fairly early '60s. I think I made my entrance around '69, but you were going like around '64, I think, right? When that around when the Torquetts were formed?
Right. Yeah, in 1963, I just graduated from high school, Austin High School. And we put a little band together. My best friend since the third grade was Farrell James Chakay. And him and I would get together. We tried to learn us a few songs, and I think we knew 2 songs. And the simple thing was that we got really excited about that. We loved music. And we went to a place called, it was just a little teen center. It was on, what was it, Hondo Pass or what? What was it?
The Rendezvous?
Yeah, well, it wasn't the Rendezvous. It was called the Northeast Teen Center.
Oh,
and
okay.
We were having auditions. We went in, we listened to some bands. And it was just me and Farrell. And we said, and we knew 2 songs, Ventures, a Fireball song, really, the old Fireballs. And we said, well, we could do that. We could do that. So we borrowed a drummer, and the 3 of us played 2 songs. We got in the audition. We got hired. We were going to play 2 weeks later. And that's when we went and found a drummer from Irving High School, Mike Norman, and we became the Torquetts because the Torquetts, the name means to twist. And so we formed the Torquetts, and we worked our rear ends off to learning enough songs to do an hour's, a whole night's worth of music. And we got a request for this again. Of course, they were like Wipeout. We must have played Wipeout 600 times that night. But that's how we got started in 1964.
I was looking the other day at one of the Kelp 40 lists of the songs and the bands and everything. And what year was that you had done? Everybody knows the song Tequila, but you guys did a song called Bacardi, and it was number 4. I mean, you were right up there at the top. I mean, I think the Beatles had one right below you, if I'm not mistaken, and Mary Wells, I think, was one above you, but you were holding strong at number 4 on the Kelp Top 40. Talk about that a little bit, man.
That was kind of funny because we thought, well, it's just a nice beat. We said, well, what if we did a song called Bacardi Rum, instead of tequila? Well, it's Bacardi Rum. So we did that. we just put it together. It was I don't know, it just had such a nice beat. And luckily, just the three of us, we had no bass player, but Farrell Torquetts would take the pick and he would strum real hard, bum, 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 like this, and create the background rhythm for it. And I was playing the lead part. And of course, Mike's a terrific drummer. Yeah, his talent is just amazing. I just love that guy. And so we put that out. We recorded this at K. Studio down out there, a little bitty place out on Dyer Street, way the heck out on Dyer, northeast El Paso. And we went in there, a little studio. We did that, and the B side was called Feedback, and that was okay too. But anyway, recording took off, and we're crazy. It's such a great dance song. You can Adventures and Fireballs and a whole bunch of Dick Dale and stuff. They were all, the instrumentals were heavy back then.
Another cool song that you guys did, and I really like this one a lot, is Blue Coral. Tell me about the inspiration of Blue Coral.
I don't know. I was just trying to think, what is this? And I was just messing around on the guitar, and I just kind of bluesy mood, slow, just played that, and it just kind of just reminded me of waves and stuff like that. Blue, just coral and the sea blue. It's a blue coral. And anyway, I just kind of refined it a little bit. It just kind of, from up there, it just kind of flowed out from where it was. And then we put it together real easily, and it came out to be a really nice song. It's a beautiful song. Did
you do that one at K also?
Yes, we did Blue Coral, and the flip side of that was called Sideswipe. And Sideswipe, to me, that's a terrific song. And in that song, I've always told Mike, that song wouldn't be half the song it is without the drum breaks in the middle.
Yeah.
Wow, terrific riffs on the drum. Terrific. It's just pounding beat that makes you want to get up and dance. And we used to even do it a couple of times at the Knights Club and the Jet Set out there and on Dyer Street at the Northgate Apartments. That was a terrific dance song. So.
Really cool. Now, how long did the group Torquetts last?
Well, the Torquetts, and the name Torquetts is kind of funny because we kept it a while, but everybody kept thinking we were a female dance troupe. The Torquetts, So we said, what are we going to do to change this name? At the time, I think it was Chuck, me, and Farrell, and Jim Cass was playing with him at the time. And I don't know where Jim is at all. I wish I could get in touch with him because he was a terrific. He was a good guy. And in fact, he's the one that went to Arizona when we went on that Copper State recording, and we did Anymore and Who's Got the 4th Years. And anyway, we were sitting around one night after practice. We got to change the name. What are we going to do? So we brainstormed the list, and we were all down that time. And we decided, you know what? We hit on a book we had all read by Robert A. Heinlein, and it was called The Sixth Column, really, or I don't remember the original name of it, but when he wrote this book, it was about I don't know, just a bunch of scientists founding, instead of the fourth dimension, they found the sixth dimension where they could derive this power from. And when they were attacked and some country took the United States over, and anyway, it was an exciting story. It was the sixth column. That sounds like a cool name. So we named ourselves the sixth column. The only trouble we had was when we played on like Fort Bliss or Biggs Air Force. What do you mean? Is that something like the fifth column? No, not anywhere near that. So anyway, it was quite a story. But that's how we became the sixth column.
Now, Mike Norman, the drummer, transitioned the way from Torquetts to sixth column with you, right?
Correct.
The Cicchetti, what happened with him after you guys broke up?
Well, when we started moving around and doing a lot of stuff, he got married and kind of tied down and started working with his father-in-law and stuff, and just he couldn't keep up with the nightly business stuff. So the playing gigs and doing the daytime. I was an electrician. I was working the daytime and then then playing at night. So, but he kind of transitioned out. Farrell did, and Mike stayed with us. And then we got another bass player. That's when we got there was Farrell, Mike, Chuck, and myself. And we're the ones that kind of did a lot of stuff together in the beginning of the sixth column. And then, you just reminded me of something, naming off those guys. Back in the days of being in bands and everything. Of course, we always had a lot of member changes and everything. I mean, you certainly went through some of that with the sixth column. I mean, you had Les Lockhart in there. I mean, you've had several different versions of the sixth column, right? Before we went to Chicago in 1969, we had a group together. I think Max Rules was the drummer, if you remember Max.
Yeah.
And Max is he's a good drummer. He's a wonderful guy. And then, of course, Chuck, and then myself. And then that's when we acquired Ken Shorley. He's the one that had the Hammond B3. And lugging that, about that, lugging a Hammond B3 all over the country. That thing weighs 5,000 tons, and it'll break your back just moving that thing into place. 2 Leslies on the side, oh Lord. A7s, 2 Leslies, Hammond B3. No wonder we're still thin.
Well, no wonder why we have bad backs. That's certainly my reason for carrying a lot of drums. I should have been a flute player,
Yeah.
The years of playing in El Paso, you guys played the Turf Club, you played the Knights Club. Talk about that a little bit, man.
Yeah, well, we did the Turf Club was really nice because what's this McGovern? Hugh McGovern owned the club, and he would hire us in there, and we were really popular there. I think Rod was playing there all different times. We played there a lot, and I don't know, a couple of the other bands around, but mostly it was either Rod or us that played the Turf Club there. All of us played the Jet Set across not too far from there, over at the Roadway Inn on Dyer Street. It's the Jet Set Club there, and it was a nice little club. The Turf Club was kind of nice. And then we didn't do the Knights Club until after the one group of the sixth column, one group of membership came back to El Paso from Chicago, and we played at the Jet Set a little bit, and then we found the Knights Club. We auditioned there, and it was a marriage right there. The owners and said, "Yeah, we'll hire you," and we started playing there, and the people came, and it was great. And we became the house band for a little over 12 years, playing 4 nights a week constantly.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. Our group, the Basic Sound, were there for about 3 years, and then you guys came in there, and we left El Paso in '73, but you guys kept on going, man. I mean, you were Bud's house band for a long time. That was a good run for you guys.
It was a great run, and we were all getting married, and we all had families doing that, had daytime jobs, so it was a real comfortable gig. It was a nice way to make some extra money and still be a musician without having to go get on the road and travel. Because we spent 2.5 years up in Chicago. I spent 2 full winters up there, and I'll never do that again. It's cold up there.
Tell me about it. Well, I was talking to a musician the other day that knows you, and he was telling me that you really like Neil Diamond. Now, did you used to do a lot of Neil Diamond music?
Yeah, I was lucky that his vocal range and his style of music just fit. It almost has a Buddy Holly quality to it, and his writing and his lyrics and everything just kind of flowed. It was just easy for me to sing. So all the songs that he'd come out with new or something like, I don't care what it was, I loved, because not only was it easy for me to sing decently, it was very popular. His songs, the lyrics were just his style of music. It hit so many age groups. In fact, I've done a lot of Neil Diamond songs. Before COVID hit, I just started doing some single act live performances for a bunch of assisted living homes. And I tell you what, they're the best audience to play for in the world. They're a captured audience. They're beautiful people. And I'm 77, but I'm playing the same. They're in their 70s, 80s, 90s, but it's a trip. But I started doing, I still do a bunch of Neil Diamond. In fact, before COVID hit, I was putting together a group of songs, and it was just an hour's full of nothing but Neil Diamond songs. I do a tribute to Buddy Holly, a tribute to Elvis, and one called Little Vegas, which I do a lot of, Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra, a bunch of those songs.
Did you go see Neil Diamond at Memorial Gym when he was here in El Paso?
Yes, we did. In fact, we snuck in the side. We couldn't get in we had tickets. We couldn't get in the front. We wanted front row seats. So Ken Shorley, myself, and our dates, we all snuck in the sideway. We got the front row seat. We didn't get to meet Neil, but we got to meet the drummer and one of the bass players.
Let me tell you what happened. Okay. Mike Wall, do you remember Mike Wall?
Yeah, I remember Mike.
Mike was the lead singer in my band, my first little garage band that we put together. And Mike and I were both freshmen at UTEP. Wow. In 69, the year that Neil came to play Memorial Gym.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you a real quick little story here that was kind of funny about this. Mike and I decided to go to see Neil Diamond. And so we go marching in with my Voice of Music reel-to-reel tape recorder with a couple of boom stands, and we go walking in, and we didn't, we thought, we could just record this, no big deal, And so this guy standing on the stage said, "Boys, what are you all doing?" And I said, "Well, we're students up here. We just wanted to record the show. This is just for our own personal use." And he says, "Have you ever heard of BMI and ASCAP and CSAC?" I said, "Yeah, I've heard of that." And he says, you really can't be doing that legally, And he says, "I'm Neil Diamond's manager, and I'll tell you what, you take the equipment, put it behind the stage, and I don't know anything."
I didn't know that.
"I don't know anything about this." And so the guy that was running the front of house was Jim Parmalee of Parmalee Sound. He was running the sound that night for the show. And so I told him what I was doing. He gave me his auxiliary out off the PA. Whoa. I plugged it right into my recorder, direct. And then I took a live mic and put it right behind Max, the drummer, and recorded the whole show. I've got a reel-to-reel sitting 4 feet from my studio here right now in a cabinet
behind you. I see a couple behind you.
Well, no, that's my recorders, but the reel-to-reel tape is sitting in front of me with 125 other reel-to-reels. Wow. But anyway, it was a cool thing. And at the end of the night, Mike and I were loading getting everything all put back together. And the drummer, his name was Max, and I never learned his last name. We've been trying to figure it out. He said, "A good friend of mine, Bob Dylan, wrote a song called Juarez." And he said, "I want to go to Juarez." And so Mike and I said, "Okay, we'll take you over there. We know where to take you, man, where the music is and all of that." So we took him over there and took him over to the Caverns of Music and the Manhattan Club and Fred's,
Fred's Rainbow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we had a fun time with him, man. We may have gone to the lobby to see Long John. I don't remember. But the long story short is we took a picture of Max and Mike and I, those guys, they'd always come around with their cameras. Correct, and we got a black and white
Yeah.
8x10, and I have no idea where it is. Hopefully it's out in the garage somewhere, and someday I'm going to find it.
That's a memory, right? That's a blessing. Those kind of memories are fantastic, especially for you. Now, what a treat. When we met Max backstage, he introduced Mike Norman to the 2 ghost pedals he used on the drum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's the first time Mike had ever seen that double action on those ghost pedals. And he was just a really nice guy. So, yeah, I'm glad you got to meet him and, kind of entertain him and get to know these people. They're great.
Let me ask you, Fred, do you think that would have been Max Weinberg?
Probably, yeah. I think his name was Max. If I remember.
No,
right.
I know his name was Max, but we can't remember what his last name was. And the guy that did the warm up, the comedian, his name was Fred Smoot. I don't know if you remember that, but that was his name.
I remember the comedian,
Fred
and
Smoot.
I should remember it because I'm Fred, but I don't remember it too well.
I've got the recording of him too, and Mike remembered his name. His name is Fred Smoot, and I'm hoping that if I can reach out to him someday, he's still around. If I can find out from him if he knew Max's last name, because I would love to do an interview with him and talk to him about when we took him to Juarez and if he remembers that and everything.
Tell me, how much tequila did you give him? And he might or not. He might remember, he might not.
I don't even remember, man. I have no idea. Too long ago. Some of the gigs that you played were unique. And you said, make sure and ask me about some of our strangest gigs that we played. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we did. There was, I can't remember the name of it. There was downtown El Paso, and you had to go downstairs. I think
probably the Green Frog or the Barge.
It was a pride club, and we didn't know that the first time we went down there.
Uh-oh.
And we got all set up, and all these guys showed up, and we're playing along, and we're watching these folks, and we think, where's all the girls? There wasn't a girl in the audience. And they hired us several times. There was a bunch of good guys. They were a bunch of fine fellows, and they appreciated the music. And so we said, okay. And then it was just fun. But it was just that aha moment. It was like that. The other one, we did a thing for J.C. Penney's. They did a modeling show about models that would walk through and show different outfits and show the clothing and stuff like that. But it was called In the Round. And in the area that we did, it was downtown. I forgot it was one of the civic centers or something like that. But we were in the middle, and we were all in a circle, and we were all facing away from. We didn't even see each other. We were all facing away from each other, and the drummer was in the middle. And so we played that in the round. It was odd. That was hard to do. It's like, and the sound was going out different directions. It was really odd. And another place was when we first left, we went to. The 6 column that left to go on tour, when we ended up in Chicago, we went to Denver, Colorado, and we played at the Air Force Base there. And then the guy that hired us, the agent that hired us to do these things, he didn't have any more gigs for us. So we were stranded. So we said, well, let's do this. Let's leave here. Let's go to Chicago. Ken Shorley's was from Chicago. And so we went up there and we found a few places. And one of the other places we went to, some of the clubs we played up there, we went over to Iowa, which is just real close to Illinois. And we played in a club called the Rathskeller. And it was down in the basement, and the stage was here. And the dance floor was here, and the one stage was on this side, and the other stage was on this side. So half of us stood up on one side, 3 of us on one side, and the other 2 on the other side. And we're facing each other, and the music was coming from different. So we had wires going over the top, and our lighting show and everything. Just weird places to play. I mean, who would design a club like that? Anyway,
man,
odd places. It was just fun. But you know what? It's a do or die thing. And you make the best of it, and you set your equipment up, and you play and do your best to try to make those people dance and happy.
You know, we played Iowa quite a bit when we were traveling on the road, and it was kind of funny because my wife and I even talked about, what's this going to be like, playing in Iowa. There's a lot of corn there, and there's a lot of farming and ranching. What are we going to get? People driving up on their John Deere tractors. You know what? But I tell you what, we played one place called Avanti Rastrelli's. It was an Italian club, and it was one of the nicest places, man. And you'd have dinner upstairs, and then you could take this spiral staircase downstairs, and that's where the showroom was. And so they would eat dinner and then come downstairs and watch our shows. So it was a really unique and cool place to play. I was going to ask you about when you went out on your tour. You had a couple of buses. Talk about those buses, man, and what you called them.
Well, the first bus was Ralph, good old Ralph, and he's named after Ralph Cramden of the Honeymooners, Jackie Gleason. And it was a 24-passenger school bus. And Ken Chorley and me and all the other guys, we fixed that thing. Did you ever go inside that bus?
Never did.
Oh man, we had tufted ceiling. We put like insulation for the housing. We put that up on the roof, took naugahyde and we tufted it, and it was just really decked out. And then the driver's seat was an old Volkswagen, real nice headrest on it and everything like that. And then we had a TV set up there, an old black and white, but you had to be stopped to make the antenna work. And then a nice 8-track tape deck, which was just a mess. And then we had a couch on either side, but it would fold up. The top of it would fold up and make 2 bunk beds. And then the back of it, we had a record player, and it would spin around. We turned it to a bar. We had a bar down there, twinkling lights. And then the back half of the bus was where we put the Hammond B3 and all the equipment. And so 5 of us, including Charlie Thomas. I know you know Chuck. I know you know Charlie. Yeah, and he was our sound man. He went with us. So we ended up in there, and it's just good grief. But that was Ralph. That was Ralph the bus. That was the first one. We ended up. That's where we drove up to Chicago and took everything around and did some recording up there. You ever try driving around downtown Chicago, Illinois, downtown with a big old 24-passenger school bus? It's dangerous.
It's dangerous down there without a school bus. We played Chicago also, man. I tell you what, that was something that I'll never forget.
Did you play down Old Street in Rushtown?
No, we played in, it was South Chicago. I'm trying to remember the name of the town, but it was on the other side of the railroad tracks. And it's not coming to me right now, but yeah, it was a big Holiday Inn, high rise, had a nice showroom. But I remember it had a great big fence around it. And I remember them talking about, make sure and don't go outside that fence at nighttime. It's pretty dangerous. So we're going, okay, whatever,
Whatever it takes.
Yeah, exactly. When you guys were on the road, did you ever work with any major artists? Did you back up or front any major artists?
Not up there. We didn't. Not up there. But we ended up doing a club called the Algonquin Inn, and it started out. It was a truck stop, but it had a small nightclub. And the owner said, well, we had such a good crowd coming in and stuff. He said, well, what if we break out this wall and make this whole huge place a nightclub? And it turned into the Algonquin Inn nightclub. And so we helped build the stage and put the lighting in and everything in there. And we played there almost consistently for 2 years.
Cool.
And, it was really nice up there. It was really a nice place. And so that was the first place we got a gig at. When we first got into Chicago, we all 5 of us were staying in this little bitty 1-room motel room that we got because Ken Chorley's dad knew the owner of the motel room. We were only paying $10 a night for 5 of us in 1 room. We were sleeping on the floor, whatever, 1 bathroom, 5 grody musicians in this place. Oh Lord! And I wrote a song called 33 Days on $10 Living. Because it was what we were doing at the time. And we were going out, we were buying a whole bunch of loaves of day-old bread and a big thing of peanut butter. That's what we were living on. And when we got the gig at the Algonquin Inn, when it was just a truck stop, he would allow us to just come in. The other band was playing on stage, but before they started, we'd set off to the side and play just about an hour worth of the softest music we could find, all the slow songs we knew, just as dinner music. And it was good enough to feed us for a dinner for all the groups. So that's what we did.
It's amazing how the audiences out there think that being in the music business is so glamorous, right?
Yeah.
You know,
It's tough.
yeah,
It is. They think, yeah, instant success.
yeah. Well, there's a song that you guys did. I think it was the flip side of one of the songs that Six Column did called "Who's Got the Tortillas." Talk about that one a little bit.
Well, like I said, we won a band contest in El Paso, and it was put on by Copper State Recording Studios. For the life of me, I can't think of the guy's name that did it. He was a real nice guy, but his recording studios was in Tucson, Arizona, and it was called Santa Cruz Records. Well, he had two labels: Copper State for really bigger stars, and then Santa Cruz for all those lowly people. And anyway, we drove up to. It was Chuck Davis, Jim Cass, myself, and Mike Norman. And we went up there and we did a song the main song was called Anymore. It's a song, Mike wrote the lyrics and him and I worked on the song. It was really neat, so it really worked out fine. It's a good song, but the flips, we worked on that for 2.5 days, and we could only stay up there for the weekend. We had to get back, so we worked on it over and over and over again and get it just right. And then for the flip side, we didn't know what to do. So we threw together this thing called Kienle la Tortillas, and it turned out. And Jim Cass plays the riff on that. It's funny. He says, "Can I play the lead? Can I play it?" Why not? Yeah. So we all put it together, and it's called. It became the most played KINT, KELP in El Paso. That's the song they played all the time. They never played anymore much. They played, and everybody wrote in. They wanted to hear Tortillas. So.
¿Quién tiene la tortilla? Yo no sé.
You never know, but it was fun. It was really a memory. It's a memory. Those memories are just, it's the journey we take, the journey you took, Rick, when you started out playing music, where you ended up now, where I'm at now. this journey, everything we do and learn as we grow, our attitudes, just, man, I tell you what, it's just amazing where we end up at because of that. We've learned so much from just dealing with people, knowing people. If you're a musician, you're on stage, you better know how to deal with people. So,
well, it's a learning process, man, you know, and I have such fond memories of some of the groups that we saw when we were on the road. We backed up some of them, you know, some of them were A player acts, and you learn from those experiences. You can be like a sponge. You can just soak up this stuff and try to remember as much of it as you can, and try to integrate it and bring it into your own shows, you know. And so yeah, we did that. You know, we did it for almost 6 years on the road.
yeah,
You know, you've been using your voice for a long time. You know, if you weren't singing, then you're writing books and talking to people. You know, you have become, in your professional life, after you left, you know, being an electrician, you became a motivational speaker. So I want you to talk a little bit about what you've been doing with, you know, your speech, you know, your speaking engagements, your books that you've written. Talk about that, man.
Wow, that's a pleasure to talk about, because it's like, and like I said, everything you do guides you to a path of what you end up doing. And if you approach it right, and you make, along that journey, you make a lot of mistakes. But if you take a mistake or a failure and you learn from it, it's not a mistake or a failure. It's just a learning curve. And it's a blessing to look back and say, well, if I had messed up then, I wouldn't know what I know now. And I have a saying, it's a word called I quicken, IIWKIN. And it's what it stands for. If I knew what I knew now, I wouldn't have done some of the things I did. But it drove me to a point where I love sharing the knowledge I have learned with everybody I can touch, because I feel like it's like throwing a pebble out into a pond and the ripples go out. You never know who you're going to affect. And if you have a bad attitude, I can be in a bad mood and I can affect your attitude, and your attitude can affect somebody else. And if I have a good attitude, it's going to do the same thing. So I'm really a proponent of attitude. My main mantra on everything I do now, and all my speaking engagements, the books I write, it's all about, it says, change your attitude, change your life. And if you do that, it will happen. If you have a bad attitude, it'll work for you that way. If you have a good attitude, it'll bless a lot of people. And so I got the privilege of writing a bunch of seminars. The first one was called Success with an Attitude. And if anybody out there is familiar with Zig Ziglar, I got to know him the last 2 years of my life. I knew him before as far as tapes and books and everything, read everything I could. He's a magnificent motivational speaker. But I got to know him personally before he passed away. And then not only that, I was blessed with knowing the family. Tom Ziegler was his son. He's taken over as the CEO of the Ziegler Corporation. And he's doing a phenomenal job running it and coming into his own. And bless him, he wrote the foreword to my first book, Success with an Attitude. And that's just about people skills, just, you know, just simple people. I did that to help kids out in high school. And I did a lot of speaking engagements at high schools, colleges. And then I found out a lot of PhDs and stuff like that. What's all these people skills about? And I really, that hit it off right. And then my second book, called Health with an Attitude, is about, you know, how important a person's attitude is towards their health. And for the last almost 7 years now, I've been doing that in a lot of organizations, businesses, everything. But the love I like to do is assisted living homes with a lot of the elderly seniors. I call them my treasured seniors, because they're in a place where they're getting a lot older. They're getting where, they're counting the days almost, and their attitude kind of comes down. And it also affects their health. So I love sharing it, bring their attitude, motivate them, inspire them, and get them encouraged to think, if I have a better attitude, I'll have a better health, I'll have a better day. So I love doing that. And I love, just before COVID hit, I was telling you, I started revising I did a singles act. In fact, Mark Francis, my bass player, he ran the old Trooper Spotlight for me. I did it the Jet Set, and I did it, what was it? It was an Irish pub in the Northgate Mall or something like that. And we did it there, and just a singles act. And I started revising that and singing to these seniors. God, it's just a blessing. It's just a blessing to watch them just have a good time, sing along with all these old songs. And so writing books, doing these seminars. I do success with an attitude, safety with an attitude, about safety. I love safety. I've been in construction all my life almost. And I love doing like leadership with an attitude. That's the last book I've just published this year. And it's doing really well. And the seminars are doing well. And anybody out there want to buy these books, just go on Amazon and look for Fred Kienle books on the attitude, and you'll find them. And I just love sharing that knowledge with everybody.
Fantastic, man. Well, you know, I appreciate the fact that you are living the life and doing now what you really love doing, and speaking with people. And I was just looking over here a minute ago. You're talking about Zig Ziglar, and I started collecting these books. You know, I've got Lee Iacocca, I've got Schuler. I mean, Zig Ziglar. I've got Win-Win Attitude, Peak Performance with Charles Garfield. I mean, I've got stuff here that goes back to the, let's see, when I got off the road in '78 is when I really got serious about buying these books. I must have 50 books here in my library in the studio of motivational attitude, you know, and I've seen Ziglar in person, and I tell you, man, incredible. It's incredible what the mind can do, you know, and how it can affect other people. You know, it's pretty powerful. It really is.
It's a joy to not only with the singing, but with the words that I put together in these books and my seminars. When I reach out and I finish a seminar and people come and say, I needed that message today. I really needed that. I need to hear that, or I understand why you're doing that. And when you get that, it's like when you're in a club playing music and you see the excitement in the people and they get out on the dance floor, they really love what you're doing. So your passion is your music and what you're doing, your guitar playing, your singing, whatever it is you're doing on stage, you're putting it out there, not just to be, oh, it's a job and I've got to do this and play, just because it's inside of you, it's got to come out, you know, and you start doing that. And when it starts coming out like that, it's like, whoa. And when you get the feedback from the audience and they tell you, God, I love this. It's the same thing with when I speak, when I write, when people buy my books, I feel like I'm touching somebody. I'm doing something that is changing their life, even if it's just for that night on stage playing music. If it's just for that one moment that you've helped encourage them and invite them, and you've witnessed that feeling. Oh, that's why a lot of people that are actors, they want to do Broadway because it's that exchange, that you give what you've got. And when you give that out and they give it back, you know that there's no feeling greater than that. And you know you've touched somebody's soul. You've made a difference in their life.
Well said, Fred. You know, I've said this numerous times to other musicians and friends and family and whatnot, you know, about that feeling of being validated. And, you know, and we don't necessarily do it for that reason, but that certainly is a good pay for why we do what we do. You know, it's an incredible feeling being validated, you know, and especially in a large crowd, you know, where you've got 400 or 500 people there watching your show or whatever. It's the most phenomenal feeling in the world. I mean, that I could ever think of, you know, in the past when we were doing this. I think that was a lot of why we did what we did, is because we were passionate, and when we got that validation, then we knew that it was a job well done.
Exactly. I think they had to, just like you said, I don't think it started out that way. Oh, I want to be a star. I want to be a musician. I want to be, oh, yeah. But when you start doing that, but when you start getting that feedback and you start growing in the journey that you take, you know what, all of a sudden, you start understanding there's more to it than just being, oh, I want to be a star, or I want to be a musician. I want, you know, even if it's a big fish in a small pond, you still get that feeling that all of a sudden, you know, you're giving them something that made a difference in their life. And that feedback, when you get that, it starts validating why and your real purpose, where you know, God doing.
One of the groups that I had on the road called Tapestry, there was a a medley that we did. We did a lot of medleys. We did, Broadway medley. We did barbershop. We did good time medley, Carpenters medley, oldies medley. But the one that we got a lot of requests for was one called the Al Jolson medley. And we did the music of Al Jolson from the very beginning to the end. And it was very strong vocals. And we were doing our show in Springfield, Ohio, where our guitar player was from. The agent had booked us there, and it was super special for Danny, our guitar player, to be in a place where his family could come and see the show. And so I remember that afternoon, my wife and I were sitting there in the restaurant, and Guy Lombardo was sitting across from us.
Oh, yeah.
He was staying there at the hotel where the showroom was, and he was doing a show that night there in Springfield. But I told my wife, I said, I'm going to go over and introduce myself to him because maybe he'll come in and see us tonight. You never know. And so I went over and introduced myself and to him and his brother Liebert. They were both there, along with their attorney. And I invited them, and sure enough, we had just finished doing our first show, second show, and then the last show coming up, he had just walked in on our break, and I told my wife, I went in for a costume change, and I said, Guy Lombardo is here, and she said, oh my gosh. So she came and joined him, sat at the table, and we had just done the Al Jolson medley, but we knew that we got to do this one again because he would really love this one.
Yeah, that's it.
And we did it, and he loved it.
Sitting with those great people like that, there was a club up in Elgin, Illinois, we played at, and it was a club in a bowling alley. But you would not believe this club. It sat 2,000 people.
Wow.
And so when we played there, we were booked for 2 weeks in a row. And the first week, we would play for an hour, and Stan Kenton would play for an hour. And we got to meet with it. You know what? We used to turn our amps up to 10, but you cannot out volume a group of like 20 horns up there playing full blast. They're the loudest thing in the world. They're piercing. But that was great to meet those guys. And the second week was with Count Basie. Wow.
That's so cool.
The third week, we were done there. We had to go at another gig. I wish we'd have been there one more week because Mr. Drummer Boy himself, it just flew out of my mind.
Buddy Rich?
Yeah, Buddy Rich. Buddy Rich and his band were going to be there, and we missed meeting him, playing an hour of that. And another gig, another fun, I just got to throw this in. We did a thing in El Paso. It was a New Year's Eve party at the Caterpillar place. Remember out on Highway I-10, the big Caterpillar plant out there? Huge. Yeah. Place. We did a New Year's Eve party there, and it was us and a mariachi band.
Oh, cool.
Playing back and forth, back and forth. But towards the end of the night and a few tequilas, we all got together, the mariachi and us, the six column and these. Yeah, you talk about a group. We had more fun playing there that night. But those memories, you meet these people, other musicians, there's a kinship. We're all related somehow.
Don't you wish we had cell phones back in those days to have all of those memories on a cell phone?
Exactly.
How cool.
Selfies, hey, look at this.
Yeah. Well, Fred, my friend, this has been a blast, man. I really enjoy you opening up and taking us back a few years today. It's all good stuff. I really enjoyed visiting with you, and we'll do it again sometime, man.
Yeah, please. Yeah, that would be fantastic. And good luck to you in what you're doing, because you're helping to keep things alive that we were doing, 40 years ago, 40, 50 years ago. And these things they're not only memories to us, but they're memories to a lot of people out there. And those memories they're precious, they're priceless.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. And really good spending some time with you, Fred. And we'll talk again real soon, buddy. All right?
All right. That sounds fantastic. And it's an honor being with you again and seeing you talking about the old times and the times we shared back then, even though we didn't run across each other that much, but everything was intertwined back then. It was fun.
Love it. All right, my friend. Talk to you soon, man.
All right, take care. God bless. And you keep doing what you're doing, man. That's an honor. That's a good thing you're doing.
Thank you, Fred. I appreciate that. See you soon.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.